Alright, you begin by washing your apples, however clean you think you have to have them. And then you put them into the apple grinder, like Justin's doing. Bigger apples have to be cut so they'll fit through. Smaller apples can be just shoved right down there with the apple persuader. And it comes out here as apple mash. Okay, after you got your mash made, you take one of these cheesecloths, or it's not a cheesecloth, but a mesh, and you kind of center it, and then you push it down there in that thing, and inside that white bowl there's a little bottom end of a bucket, and it sort of acts as a measuring device for the mash. And you fill it sort of rounded full with the apple mash. So probably one more little bit will do. And then we'll go ahead and kind of pull up the corners and grab the corners and hold them up. And then it kind of helps to have two hands with this, but Justin's going to have to manage it by himself. To take one of these little pieces of string or anything, and just to kind of help hold the this, it's called a cheese. I guess apparently this is what you'd do if you're making a cheese. You just tie one knot and that's good, and then just hold it and carry the bowl and everything over here. Now we've already put in our first cheese, so he's going to separate the cheeses with this disc, one of these discs. So you put one down, and then you put on the disc, and then you make another cheese of apple mash, and you put that in there, and you center that down, and you'll put on another disc, and so on and so forth. And there's enough, I think you can make 5 cheeses per press. So we'll go ahead and do that now. Alright, we've got our last cheese made, number 5, and Justin's put that in there. So now we're ready to go ahead and put the pressing top on, which is diamond shape, and you put it on. And one of the things you should notice here, this is rather important. This barrel fills most of the tray. It's important to leave at least a 1/4 inch on each side of the pressing barrel. Otherwise you create a dam and the cider does not want to flow through out to the outlet very well. Alright, so Justin's going to go ahead and move it underneath. Yeah, you got to slide your catcher here. We're just using a big canning kind of stock pot to catch cider. Got a lot of capacity, so that's helpful. And he's going to slide the whole tray back and then go ahead and let the ram down. You do need to use a Sharpie marker to hold it up. It's critical that you use a Sharpie marker. Any old dowel won't do it. Alright, now we've got that in position, and we're going to use the jack out of my truck, but you can use any old jack. Now you notice that there's a ways between the jack and the top, so we're going to actually put a spacer on there. A couple of spacers probably. Maybe do 2 more. That way the jack has got more capacity to go ahead and do the pressing. Alright, so it looks like we've got it all there. And now we're going to go ahead and press it. Now you can just crank it by hand, but we've found that the first pressing, you know, where you have to make the jack travel a long way, it's a lot easier to use my drill bit attached to the end of the jack. Of course, it does have its risks. So that's cranking. And right now we're getting a pretty good flow of cider. And that's really all there is. You just crank it down, and you should also know that this little top of the ram is broken. So, but it doesn't hurt anything. I mean, it really is. It's pushing on that 2x6 ram, and you just keep cranking it, and eventually we'll crank it by hand to get it all out. And you can let it sit, and you'll keep getting juice out of it if you let it sit for a little while, but it's kind of up to you. And then you eventually undo it and clean it out, and Run it again. Nice job, apple squeezer.
Yay.